How's it going, everybody? I support the movement statement about stopping Asian hate. Um, is a reference these past few days about that spot shooting in Atlanta, and also this this weird phobia against Asians during this COVID pandemic, which it was so strange to me. Um, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me why people were doing that, because just because it's from China does not mean all Chinese people, especially those who live here, are carriers or people who have special powers to give people COVID. So I don't understand that people getting assaulted. So I don't have any Asian friends. Maybe some online, but none that like are around me in my proximity. So I couldn't really like talk to people who's like, hey, what do you think about this? How do you feel about this? I just know stuff I've learned online. I've learned from different like movie crazy rich Asians about the perception of the Twinkie, the yellow on the outside, white on the inside. I've learned about the perception of crazy of sorry fancy Asians versus jungle Asians. I've learned about the perceptions of the model minority myth. I've heard about the perceptions that Asian men are probably the least eligible in the dating world, right along to black women. I've heard of black women, Asian women being fetishized. I've heard of even Asian women are highest on the dating world, up next to white women. I've heard of I think that's it. It might be one more, but I think that's roughly it. And frankly, I do feel like America has this thing where it loves culture, but it doesn't love the people of the said culture. And it doesn't make any sense why we laugh or when former President Trump, I think 45, made that joke about the Kung Flu. I was like, why would you make a joke about that? Why is that a thing? And I don't understand it. I don't. Um I don't understand. And I guess that's it, man. Because I grew up learning about Japanese culture. Big fan of Japanese culture. Even try to see myself in Japanese culture as a black person, and have found mostly good stuff, but at the same time unfavorable stuff, because of perceptions here in America to those other places. So they have negative perceptions of us, and probably for other reasons too. But that's what I've learned, and so I've always had a a good feelings toward east parts of Japan. I'm sorry, east parts of Asia. Why isn't it Russia or India or anything like that? I just didn't grow to have those passions, and I didn't have too many friends that had that were those cultures or represented those cultures or were of those cultures or etc. So, but Japan, man, I learned that in my social studies class, and then I began to be a person who dedicated himself to learning, like drawings and all that stuff, because I was like, man, this art is great. The storytelling is great, and I was like, I'm gonna be an artist, and that's it's a big thing, and I was really feeling conflict when I heard about Stop Asian Hate, but I was conflicted in myself because I was like, how can I sit here and say, how can I sit here and have these conflicting thoughts if a good portion of my life has been appreciating Asian culture, and I really had to come to terms with that because I was like, this is a moment where I have to meet them where they're at, and they're just feeling pain. like the same way I would have wanted everybody else to treat black culture, is to treat it with a sense of compassion and humility. And I'm not speaking for Asians, obviously, but I want to put that out there because I'm not. But I am speaking as a person who has some empathy. I'm speaking as somebody who has compassion for their plight. You know, a dude came in there. He shot up a place that is run mainly by Asians. That's I just that's crazy to me. Why he would do that? And they said he was targeting sex workers or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. But that's nuts. Because we know if you go to a spa, who's there? Who's mostly working there? It's not blacks, it's not whites, it's typically Asians who working at these spas. And so it seems to me also like a crime of hate. So I'm like, yeah, this whole COVID nonsense about targeting Asians because they vaguely represent or vaguely associate, that's pretty much it, associate with the mainland China. That's nuts. That's crazy. Use your critical thinking. Like, are you, if you think that that's like a good idea, that's not. That's it's foolish to make those associations. And yet many of us love Asian culture. How can we say that if we blame them or make these jokes or insult them? How can we do that? I'm just saying, use your critical thinking and treat them like people because they are. They're your neighbors. They're your friends. They're your family. You know, don't say you love Asian culture if you don't love Asian people.